Big Herc 916, positivity, motivation, never settle for average. Go pick up a t-shirt, a hat, bigherc916.com, or pick up a bar of soap and wash your ass, because ain't nothing worse than a funky butt. You know, I'm always lacing you guys up, and sometimes when you hear from me, you might think I be making things up or where I get it from, but you can do your homework, you can do your history, and read up on a lot of the stuff. And I try to stay away from the bullshit because there's so much bullshit out there already. But for those who aren't familiar with the public education system and why it was implemented and what it was meant to establish among the people in this country, was a working class, a subservient, non-thinking individual, a sheep. And I always felt funny in school, you know, when I'm learning the curriculum, thinking some of this stuff just doesn't add up. Some of this stuff seems just very unsettling. The history, you know, the bullshit when they got to the Civil War and slavery and all that shit, man. And then just how the class structure was set up. You go out at a certain time for recess, you come back. What you're learning, is it really relevant to everyday living? Is it gonna make you rich? My whole thing going to school, and once I started figuring out economics and watching different things on TV, I was all about making money. Being successful, making money. Because I know money gave you freedom. Money gave you opportunity. Money created opportunities for those around you. And I used to watch my grandfather work hard. He was a hard worker. Be tired, just gone all day. Maybe he had one day off a week, and then the second day off a week, he was preparing to go back the next day. And I'm like, man, I got to figure something out. But I know it wasn't going to be in the school system. The only individual I can really think back to that gave me any real game in school was my algebra 2 teacher. And he was involved in the stock market, and he had one of the old school brick phones. And I remember he was trying to explain the stock market to us. I was a freshman and I didn't really grasp all of it, but he was talking and it did spark my interest. And that led to me watching the movie Wall Street and thinking like, okay, people in finance make a lot of money, but I don't know anybody in finance. I've never met an accountant at that time. I had never met a stockbroker. I had never met a trader. And, back then you had to go through a brokerage firm, like Merrill Lynch or something. And I didn't know anything about that. I was, living in North Highlands, Sacramento. Nobody talked about that stuff. Everybody just worked, retired military and worked. But check this out. This gentleman right here breaks down some interesting things about the public education system. And prior to public education, people were homeschooled. And in my opinion, that was the best education because the parents taught you what you needed to know to run the family business and to get ahead, but you weren't indoctrinated. Peep game.
Everybody's been talking about school and education. Well, in etymology, the word education comes from the word educere, which means to bring out of you what's in you. Mm-hmm. Schools don't do that. Exactly. Schools give you something and you regurgitate it back, and that's how you get an A. This is called the 1902 Board of Education Act, okay? The endowment was given by John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. They gave $30 billion. They actually owned the public school system, okay? And I'm going to read to you what their mission was. It says, prior to the late 1800s, education was private practice that took place in private institutions or through home schooling. That all changed in 1902 when John D. Rockefeller created the General Education Board in conjunction with Frederick T. Gates. Now, who was Frederick T. Gates? Have you ever heard of Bill? That's Frederick T. Gates is his grandfather. So this is what Frederick T. Gates said. Let me skip. Albert Einstein said, never confuse education with intelligence. John D. Rockefeller said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. So at the advent of the Industrial Revolution, okay, at its inception, they had to create workers in order to establish the Industrial Revolution. Well, think about this. The plantation became the plant. Okay? The overseer became the supervisor. And master became the manager. That's the only difference. It's the same thing. It only changed its appearance like a cloud. So what I'm saying to everybody is I would suggest that everyone get into the forensics. There's one other thing called the King Alfred Plan. Okay? The King Alfred Plan was a CIA operative that was designed by J. Edgar Hoover to destroy any black community, any black organization, and any black leader that showed any type of messianic energy. Okay? It's happened today through COVID. The reason they're trying to freaking kill you is because they don't know which one of you is the Messiah. Okay?
So as you can see, man, it went from the slave plantation to the factory plantation. This shit is all by design. And that's why the private schools, a lot of the charter schools, price out the poor. Very few scholarships are available. You might get lucky. And then you got to live in a certain housing track in order to qualify to go to certain schools, which are public, but are different in a sense where they might have some entrepreneurial opportunities, some trade opportunities, and you get laced up a little bit better. But in the inner cities, regular neighborhoods, you ain't getting shit. You're going to learn to go work for somebody. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Scott. You're going to learn to go punch that clock, do your 8 hours, maybe overtime with 10 hours, and be happy about it. Get you a wife, maybe have 2 kids, get a house, stay in debt with that mortgage, get a BMW, maybe get a Benz, make them car payments, maybe travel once a year if you're lucky, put your kids through college, be in debt your whole life. You're never going to learn how to run your own business. You're never going to learn about C Corps, S Corps, LLCs. You're not going to learn about tax write-offs. You're not going to learn about tax shelters. You're not going to learn about international import-export. You're not going to learn about anything of substance that's going to take you to the next level to get you out of the working class, because it's not meant to do that. Everything's set on a timer. This time you go recess. This time you come back and you go and you do this curriculum. This time you go to lunch. This time you go to your next class. This time you have your last break. It's like at work. You got your coffee break. You got your lunch break. You got your 15-minute break. And then you get off of work. It's a program, man. And they structure prison the same way. Movements. You know what I mean? Come back, go to chow, go back to work, recall, you get off work. They're conditions. It's all programs, whether you're going to a regular job or whether you're in prison. And, you know, prison, I say, can be non-physical, can be mental, because you can't figure it out. When I went to prison and feds and did all that time, it really just hit me. And it's like, wow, man. You know, I wish I would have had a mentor on the street, man. I wish I would have had somebody like this gentleman in this video giving me the game, opening my eyes before I did all the dumb shit I did. Because, you know, I watched my grandfather, but I never really had a conversation like I'm sharing with you guys. I never had that sit down. I never had that lace up. He didn't give me any tools to utilize in the free world to get them, you know, involved in investing in the stock market or real estate or flipping cars, you know, starting my own corporation. You know, he never had a business license or nothing like that. He just worked, man. He was a hard worker, had multiple houses. You know, he was good, but he wasn't an entrepreneur per se. You know, I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial skills and mindset when I was in prison the last time, being around, international hustlers, guys who were balling, dudes who had businesses, but I didn't have any of that game before I went in. And, I went to junior college. I was probably, I don't know, 9 credits shy of getting my AA, but I didn't have that mindset. I didn't have the people around me who were those individuals that I can learn from. So I had to go behind the wall to get that game, but now I'm sharing with you guys. But watch this video a couple times, share it, look up what they're saying about, the Rockefellers and how they bought the education system because they needed people to work in these factories, to build the railroads, to work at the steel mills and the oil refineries, and to basically keep their empires growing. And while you weren't building shit, getting more caught in the rat race. And once you get into a 9 to 5, it's hard to break it. It's hard to get out. You want to get out, but you don't have no time, because you can only take so many sick days to go try to find another job. And if you're trying to do a side job, it's hard to get that side job going enough to where it can supplement your 9 to 5 job. So where do you go? You don't do a 9 to 5. You have to deal with the stress of trying to pay your bills, and you have, good times, and you have slow and bad times, and you go into debt and you come out of debt, but you're free. When you work at 9 to 5, you have no freedom. By the time you get off work, everything's closed. All the things that have been happening throughout the day, you missed them. On the weekends, it's not the same flow as it is during the week, so you're not seeing what's going on at whatever place you visit on the weekends that you saw that was going on during the week. Different crowd of people. See, it's all by design, man, for you to not really get ahead, but to stay enslaved from the plantation to the plant. And now they got AI coming in, wiping a lot of those jobs out. A lot of the factory jobs is all computerized now. So whatever's left, man, it's going to be a vicious cycle to try to get those little few jobs. And that's why they're implementing now all this. Here, get this check, and we're going to help you out. We're going to pay you, and you'll have this universal income. Dude, that's socialism. Universal income, you have no drive, you're not hustling, you're sitting at home playing Call of Duty all day, you got enough to pay your bills, you're not worried about transportation, you got Uber, you got Lyft, you got, you can go and use your app and get a little electric scooter, but you're out of the way. Wealthy got everything, they own everything. See? Own nothing and be happy. And that's why I'm always telling you guys, never settle for average. There's no room for mediocrity in life unless you like average. I don't know anybody who aspires to be the average guy. I never wanted to be the average guy. What do you want to be? Go to the Herc store at bigherc916.com and pick you up a bar of soap so you can wash that ass, or pick you up some Never Settle for Average merch, or some of the Muscleup Car Lifestyle merch. We have hats, Never Settle for Average. Got the Muscleup t-shirts. We also have the Never Settle for Average tank tops. Got the Muscleup Car Lifestyle hoodies. Got the beanie caps. Hey man, represent. And I know you guys aren't average, so pick you up some swag and step your game up. Hello, I'm Big Herc 916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking.